Hello friends, this is Tawqeer again, and as you're aware that we are in the second phase of the lockdown in India, and so far today, as the latest updates coming from the government, we have already crossed 14,000 positive patients in India, and just a few background that as you all are aware that this virus started in January 2020 from Wuhan in China, and now over the globe it has so far affected 190 countries. Millions are affected, and there have been the businesses are shut. Many countries, as precaution, they have started partial or complete lockdown are going on, and this whole of the scenario is affecting a lot of businesses. Even the common man are directly affected with it. So there have been change in the scenarios. There have been companies having evolving strategies how to cope up with this lockdown. And one of the important thing that has been that we should start work from home. But this work from home is in itself a challenge for the IT sector because they have to manage the data flow. There has been ways that how this should uh, uh, grow, how these systems have been put in place actually, so that the companies can have good results and employees are able to freely work. So in this scenario, I have with me Mr. Aamir. He is an IT analyst based in New Delhi, and he has specialization in system administration and data center technologies. He will explain us all the challenges, the opportunities that IT sector faces in these. Especially, I think there are mostly challenges, but let us move on to expert. So, hello, Amir. Thank you so much for giving us time and today and being part of this conversation here. So you know that it's only because of these technologies that are actually available in current uh, world that this work from home option has been evolving. But I want to know you as an IT expert, as an IT analyst. So how challenging is it for the IT technologies to actually cope up in this scenario?
Hi, Tawqeer. Thanks for having me, first of all. Uh, see, we all know, this work from home for IT companies, especially core IT companies, is not a new trend. IT companies who are into core IT business have been doing it for a long time. But unfortunately, nowadays, because of this lockdown, business, and most of the companies now who are IT and non-IT, but non-IT, when I say companies have adapted IT technologies to run their businesses. So if they are not majorly into IT, but yes,
Yes.
they are using some part of IT to run it.
Mm-hmm.
For the core IT companies, it is not a big challenge because their infrastructure, their setup, it's already ready. They have
Mm-hmm.
been doing it. And in fact, most of the companies in Silicon Valley, if you say, or these areas where IT has evolved a lot and is developed, so they have been doing it, and they have been encouraging people to work from home for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for the regions or the countries who are adapting to it now, or maybe who are partly or partially into this work from home concept, or who haven't even yet started, it is
Mm-hmm.
a big challenge. And challenges are multidimensional here,
Mm-hmm.
from right from remote support, from
Mm-hmm.
IT support perspective, to remote monitoring. And then comes to the user side, the end user side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, end users who were not well versed with it, this way of working.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a challenge
Mm-hmm.
because they used to interact with their IT teams face to face in the companies to get their issues resolved. Now
Mm-hmm.
they are, they have to get it done remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but technically saying, when we talk about work from home, it is
Mm-hmm.
about the productivity. I mean,
Okay.
it narrows down to the productivity, that how much you can really work from home, even if
Mm-hmm.
the technology is available. So
Mm-hmm.
again, like I said before, that it depends on how much companies have invested in training their users or employees to get used to the concept of work from home. But since it was just all of a sudden, it was abrupt everywhere
Mm-hmm.
globally. Initial few days or maybe a week or so was a little tough for both companies as well as the users, employees. But yes, now they are getting used to it.
Yeah.
But challenges, like I said, are many, right
Mm-hmm.
from reaching out to the employees to make sure that they are productive enough,
Mm-hmm.
which means that we have to make sure that the backend servers, the backend infrastructure in the office, which is kind of not monitored at the moment, which is like unmanned, to make sure that that is running, and to make sure that the user gets through, or user gets the best out of the services which are running remotely right now. So that's it. Yeah.
So as a common user, I just want to understand this concept of, like, in offices we have a dedicated lease lines. So we are getting high speed internet, but when you go back to our houses using a private internet, speed is not as good as in offices. So it is actually hampering the work. So as to the common user, how do you explain this sudden drop of, in myself? I'm using an internet, high-speed internet, it should be called, but unfortunately, it is very down these days. So how do you explain this thing to a common man? How can we explain the decrease in this internet speed?
Absolutely. See, when the normal user overload or the workload, it was like it was getting, you can say, bifurcated between off peak and peak hours. I mean, in peak hours we used to be in our offices, and offices have dedicated lease lines. We have we on connections or pieces on the mobile network, or you call it 4G technology. So in office, it is an SLA backed redundant link of internet which works in the contention ratio of 1:1 mostly. If the provider is offering 50 Mbps line, it is a 50 Mbps line. While the normal broadband or the other networks, they are shared networks. They are not dedicated lines. So if we say, like, I have a 50 Mbps broadband at home, that doesn't mean you are getting a 50 Mbps. And now when the entire load shifts, I mean, when we don't have offices running, we have only load on the residential lines, we call it. So residential lines are getting choked. When I say choked, which means that entire workforce, even children, even other folks, like every member in the family is hooked onto the network. So right now your TV is a smart TV. You have a smartphone in your hand, and then you have a laptop, you have a desktop, and you have other devices which are hooked up to the network. So all of a sudden, when everything was put on the home broadband or the home network, so the lines got completely, if not completely, but yeah, partially choked because they were not ready. And they were, and when I say they were not ready, that doesn't mean across the country, because in tier 1 cities we do have a good infrastructure of the network or the internet. Let's say we have a fiber connectivity nowadays going to each home, like FTTH. But when we move down toward tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the infrastructure is not so robust. So which means people connecting from these tiers to their offices, yes, they do struggle a lot because they are working on a shared network instead of a dedicated or the high-speed networks.
Is security also a challenge for the companies? Because we have the VPNs using in the offices. If they use a separate network, then same offices employees use different. They are working from different areas, so they have a different internet. So do you think that this is actually a security challenge for the companies also?
Absolutely, yes. See, security is always a challenge for an IT or a non-IT company, because it is, be it the physical security or be it the digital security. So companies who are, like I said it before, the companies who are into core IT business, they have put a lot of money into securing their networks. But now when their users are not on their network but outside the network, and then coming into the network through different means, yes, it becomes a bigger challenge for the security experts to monitor, as well as to safeguard the assets which inside the data center or the companies. In that case, VPNs, yes, but nowadays VPNs were not that common, because people now we are shifting towards the cloud as well. I mean, many companies have shifted to cloud, if not completely, but yeah, as a hybrid solution, they are already moving towards on cloud. And in fact, the companies who are, who are into the, business, but not into the core IT business, they are also steadily moving to cloud. And those companies who are onto cloud, they don't have to, worry much, because that part, security as well as the redundancy availability, is already taken care by the cloud infrastructure. So even if there is nobody manning their server rooms in in their offices, respective offices, but the cloud infrastructure, because that has been hosted on the data centers, which are very much redundant, very much planned, and planned for workloads, and planned for all these situations. Yes, those companies will benefit right now. Who are, companies who have either migrated partially or fully to the clouds.
So, uh, uh, okay, that's a wonderful explanation, and I think there's much more information that actually users will get from
Yeah,
this
one more.
conversation.
I would like to.
I just,
I would like to one more thing in that.
uh,
Uh, see, see, companies, like I said, they heavily invest in the hardware, especially when it comes to the security. Like there are routers, there are firewalls, then there are endpoint security devices. But yes, when the users on the open network or on the public network, so companies, yes, they have to ensure that how their user enters to the office corporate domain without being traced, hacked, or stuff like that. So people who are right now on their
yes.
company assets, like using their company laptops and stuff,
Mhm.
yes, they are pretty much secure. But those who are using their home laptops and PCs, maybe their endpoints are not that safe. So yeah, companies there might have been facing challenge that how to make sure that when a user is using his home device, how can we make sure that the home device he's using is completely foolproof and not having any loopholes.
So do you suggest
That is
anything? Do you suggest any major in this scenario when the people use their home devices?
See, basic security hygiene, like I have been saying all the time, is like you should always have a very strong passwords of your home network, even a strong password of your devices, and then you have to keep looking about the programs that you install on your devices. Whether you
Absolutely.
have a MacBook, whether you have a Windows machine, but yes, you should be very careful what programs you have installed. And then when you are, especially when you're connected, hooked onto your office network, sure that you don't do any other DURS, even if some hacker is sniffing your network.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you avoid using like bank transactions
Some issue in our network,
to
I think.
yeah. Well, we're connected from a home network, so
Yeah, that's
that's a
actually the
challenge.
challenge we are talking about. So okay, this is
Absolutely.
actually
So this is not a dedicated link.
yeah, exactly. So this is actually a challenge that has evolved because of a health emergency. So in case, God forbid, if there's a pandemic situation like in cyber world, for example, there's a ransomware or some virus attack. So are the companies prepared for it?
Uh, See, ransomware has been recent. I mean, before ransomware, there were usual attacks on the company networks, and
Uh,
be it financial organizations or any other organization. I mean, networks are always under attack by
mhm,
these hackers and stuff. But yes, because most of the companies and users are
mhm,
working on separate networks these days,
mhm,
it will be really catastrophic if something
mhm,
like this strikes. Because when a user is connected over insecure line,
mhm,
to the corporate network, it becomes very essential for the security chief of that company to make sure that even if the people are connected from your home network or the home devices, whether they are connected from any open networks, but whatever they transact with the company network should be highly secured and encrypted form. So that is, again, I mean, it is not the onus lies on the companies and the
mhm,
chief of the security of the company who have been handling this part,
mhm,
because end user may never know, because it is something which is invisible.
mhm,
So you can never know whether you are being attacked, unless and until you have a certain level of kind of expertise in IT. For a
mhm,
normal user, who right now everybody is, I mean, it's a in a layman language,
mhm,
everybody is a normal user right now. But
mhm,
yes, in case there is a ransomware attack or something, the person should immediately report it to the company and the IT department, and just stop working on the network which he's been using, until.
Just one last question before I allow you to go is actually you talking about the challenges that the IT sector is facing. So I just want to understand that since this is lockdown, we have work from home situation, so IT companies. So I just want to understand that does this also provide an opportunity to the companies to evolve itself to face the future challenges?
Absolutely. In fact, I think this has bring in some really positive, you can say, things that should be discussed in the companies now. Let's look around the environment. I mean, I think this shutdown nature is actually healing itself at the moment. So, in fact, I think government should make it mandatory as a policy in their IT policies that every company, if they can push or encourage them to adapt these work from home as a normal case scenario. I mean, just put them this work from home under their agenda in normal circumstances. I think most of the things will be in a better shape. Like, for example, if a company can reduce its regular workflow of employees from 100 to 80, which means a 20% saving, which means 20% saving, 20% less traffic, 20% less pollution, and 20% less wastage of resources, which usually we do by spending time being in traffic and stuff. So this has, Corona, the COVID-19 has given us a lot to think about as companies, and I think yes, it is a a good opportunity for companies to think that they should encourage people to work from home, and they should work towards the technologies how they can make it regular when it comes to when we'll be back to normal.
Thank you, Aamir. Thank you so much, because this was a very informative conversation we had with you. Thank you so much for joining. And
thanks for
please, yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. It was really nice talking to you. And in fact, this is a really broad spectrum. But yeah, we would let's say if in case there are other scenarios where when we talk about specifically on a topic that will make it a very precise, and we can talk in detail. But now we were talking about the entire scenario, so yes, the time is quite short for it.
Exactly. Surely, Aamir, we'll again connect with you in very short time, and we will have much more broader conversation, actually, what are the future prospects. And thank you, viewers. He was Mr. Aamir, an IT analyst. So you all know that what important challenges and opportunities that this lockdown has. So till I'm sure that we shall pass this situation again. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.